Hello, Box subscribers and viewers, and welcome back to the Precision Racing League Sunday Series with iRacing. I am, of course, Justin, and today we are racing around the Virginia International Raceway for round 3 of this 4th season. Unfortunately, I was not able to race for round 2, but it was an oval race anyway, so you guys didn't miss out on too much. As some of you already know, I am not a fan of oval racing, and because of America's messed up daylight savings time, I was forced to choose between AOR for the F1 2013 and PRL for the iRacing, so I chose AOR for that race because also it was my home race at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, which is already out. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I hope you'll enjoy this video very much. I'm imagining that many of you, as actually most of our viewers for Box are actually from England. A lot of Brits watch this channel. I assume most of you guys are unfamiliar with the Virginia International Raceway, and let me tell you, I was as well. Also, as mentioned in the previous video, I have been super busy recently, which has seriously hampered my ability to practice for these races and to prepare accordingly. Thank goodness for Loro, my teammate, because he's been giving me tips as far as setup and stuff like that. So he has been an enormous help this season. To me personally, because I just have not had the time to invest into all this stuff. So this is VIR, Virginia International Raceway. This is the Grand West configuration, which I do believe is essentially the full course. So this is a very long track. As you can see up at the top, it's 4 miles long. Which means it's about 6.5 kilometers. It's quite a long track, 26 turns in all. One person on PRL described it, I believe this was Spencer, he described it as sort of a mini Nürburgring, the Nordschleife, the classic track. Where Lauda had his accident, and I would sort of agree with. I'd sort of agree with that in certain ways. Yes, it is like that. It's very long. It has lots of corners. It's very difficult to memorize this track. Lots of tracks these days with all the Herman Tilke style tracks and whatnot. Very easy to memorize these tracks. You know, you're talking somewhere between 10 and 20 turns, and most of them are pretty straightforward. And a lot of times there are meter markers and stuff like that for marking your braking points. A lot of times there are even signs telling you what corner is coming up, a left or a right-hand corner. This track doesn't have very much of those things. It sort of feels like racing on an actual back road in America. So it's interesting in that respect. And then again, I really didn't. My practice for this was all done on race day. And I'd never driven this track previously, so expectations were pretty low for me going into this into this race, excuse me. But actually, Loro's setup that he had given me was pretty handy, and I was looking pretty competitive in the practice sessions. So it was looking like I would be healthily in the points. As you can see, we have 11 people in the race, 3 of which did not set a time or failed to set a time in qualifying. Again, remember, I'll probably keep reminding you guys, it's only 2 laps that you have, 2 hot laps for qualifying, and the best out of those 2. And then if you get any sort of off-track incident or anything like that during your lap, that voids the lap. So if you have an off-track on each of your flying laps, then that means you have no time set. I don't know what the circumstances were for SD, Ashley, and Jem, but they're starting from the back, unfortunately, as they don't have a time set. I was able to put in a 2:26, which is a full 2.5 seconds behind Stefan Westerland, and a full 2.2 seconds ahead of John Vitrano, the other Texan. So little interesting going into this race because it seems like I have a little bit of a gap. David and Stefan seem pretty similarly matched. Loro and Spencer seem pretty similarly matched. John and Jack and James all seem similarly matched, and I'm just kind of in this dead zone where nobody is setting times like mine. So I was my main focus was definitely just to keep the car on the track, since it's a track that I was not super familiar with. It's a very difficult track as well. Very easy to spin here, especially in the low-speed corners where you're not getting any downforce. This is a high downforce track. My rear wing angle is something like 26 degrees, so it's a high downforce track. And really the only straights that you get are in the second sector and then the start-finish straight. Oh yeah, you get another one kind of in this beginning of the third sector. I believe it's 4 sectors total. But later in the lap you get a nice straight going from this hairpin down to another hairpin. And then you get this nice straight in here and then the start-finish straight. But not many places to pass. Really turn 1. Turn 1 and then this hairpin up here at the top right. If you guys look at the top right where my cursor is, this hairpin is a good passing location, and then this hairpin here, turn 1. So let's go ahead and get things started. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it on TV3 because it's zoomed out for the start. So lights are out, we're away. I did not get a great start. My revs, I bogged down. I let the revs drop too much, and I've already lost. Excuse me, I've already lost out to John Vetrano in the purple and green car just ahead of me there. But it looks like John is going side by side with somebody. He's lost out, and I'm going to have the inside line for this next corner, and that's going to allow me to move up and take back that 6th place position that I started in. And oh no, I'm sorry, 5th place position. And yep, it is Stefan just ahead of me, and in the black car. He was faster than me in quali, and my quali laps weren't too terrible. I know I complained last time out at Summit Point that my qualifying laps weren't so great. This time they were actually pretty good. They were about where I was pace-wise. Again, you could probably chalk. Oh, as we already have a car off. I do believe that is Esty. Let me take this back. And we can just see, because I just want you guys to get a feel for what the kind of stuff that this track throws at you. You can see these are very high-speed chicanes. Yep, and he just got in the grass, went heavy over the curb, and oh no, and a big impact with the tire barrier. That's going to be some pretty serious damage. Yeah, he is definitely going to need to pit for repairs. I would be surprised even if he makes it all the way back to the pits. Damage actually doesn't seem too bad. He's not flying off the track, but severe damage to the front right quarter panel, rear right quarter panel, the side of the car. You can see him just fighting the steering wheel as well. So already some pretty serious damage there. Oh, and something's happened with John as well. While we were investigating what happened with Esty there. Actually, no, was that Esty? Nope, it was not. I apologize. That was Ashley. I do apologize about that. I'm still getting used to people's liveries for this new season. People have changed their liveries up a little bit. I do believe Ashley was actually in a green livery last season with the roofs. So I've kind of started associating him with green now. So let's ride back on board with John here, or focus on John here. Oh, and he just dips a wheel in the grass. Esty's got to take to the grass as well. Jack manages to avoid him just fine. It doesn't appear as if John's going to get any damage. Oh, and he's going to have to let this car by as well. Very, very polite and courteous. John does not rejoin the track in an unsafe manner at all. And but he is back at racing. No significant damage. It looks like there might be possibly some minor cosmetic damage, but he should be able to continue on no problem. Yep, and he is going to stay ahead of the damaged Ashley Blakely. And let's jump back up with myself now. Still running in 5th position, just behind Stefan. I know we missed out a little bit of my lap, but no big deal. I am going to try and possibly shorten these videos if I can. I went really long on the intro there. I appreciate your patience while you guys deal with that. I might put a link in the description if people want to skip that intro, just get straight to the race. But right now Spencer's got a huge gap in that orange car. It looks like it's almost got like a snakeskin kind of pattern on it. And something's happened with Dusty here. I'm not going to rewind it, but he had a little bit of an off-track incident in the blue and black. I called him Dusty again, Loro. Loro had a little bit of an off-track incident, had to give some time back, which is why he has lost out a position to David in the sky blue and white car there. And I'm sticking with Stefan pretty well here, and in turn, Stefan's sticking pretty well with Loro and David, who are in 2nd and 3rd currently. So we got a nice group of 4 cars currently as we finish lap 1 and start lap 2. Again, Spencer with the big lead currently over everybody else, and it looks like Stefan's had a little bit of a rough first corner, and I'm kind of right up behind him. This is not a passing location though, so I don't imagine I'll be looking to the inside or anything like that. That's a very strange corner we just went through there. Sort of it's 2 corners, but it's sort of all one corner, double apex. Sort of 3rd gear for the first part, and then 2nd gear for the next part. Really strange, or no, it's like 4th and 2nd, excuse me. Really strange, and actually I've gotten a nice run. I am right in the slipstream of Stefan here, looking very racy. I can tell you right there, I was actually even lifting off of the gas to prevent myself from running into the back of him. But that is not a good passing location again, so because the corners that are coming up after that straight are all full throttle, and you really don't want to be going side by side through those. So he has managed to hold on to the position for now, and it looks like I've dropped back ever so slightly actually, as Lauro has retaken 2nd place from David. Still the 4 of us running in very close proximity, breaking down to 2nd gear for this corner. I take a very wide entrance and a wide, a late apex to try and get a nice run out of the corner. Getting up to about 5th gear and braking just at the bottom of that dip you see there. You have to be very cautious. This corner is off camber after you go over the crest of that hill. It goes down into the left, but it's off camber, so it's very easy to lose the car in that corner. You have to brake very early for it. And again, it seems I'm losing a little bit of time to Stefan up ahead. Very cautious through this whole sector. I didn't feel super comfortable through the last couple of corners there. This all feels good. This is 4th gear, 120 miles an hour thereabouts. Breaking down to 2nd gear for this downhill right-hand corner. Not quite as off-camber as some of the other ones, but this left-hand corner here, this is an off-camber corner, about 3rd gear. That's too much curb, way too much curb, bouncing all over the place, unsettling the car. And that's going to lose me even more time to Stefan up ahead as we are finishing lap 2 and starting lap 3. The ticker up at the top still says lap 1, and I can already hear that there is a car in turn 1 that has, and it is David. We're going to take that back just a little bit and find out exactly what happened with David. So here he is coming into turn 1. About 160, 165 miles an hour, breaking down to about 50 miles an hour, and the back end just steps out on him, and he very kindly gets out of the way for Stefan and stays to the outside of the corner as I slip on through and take P4. Again, this is lap 3 now. Sorry, let me change it back to myself. And I believe I lost a little time to Stefan as a result of sort of dodging David, but nothing too major. Oh wow, there's a big slide moment coming out of that corner there. That's a very difficult corner because you're trying to get on the gas as early as you can for the run down towards this high-speed S section that's very much full throttle. As you can see, David even applying a little bit of brake as we go through there to avoid running into the back of me. Braking down to about 4th gear for that very high-speed left-hand corner, then down the hill, braking down to 2nd or 3rd gear, depending on how warm your tires are and how much fuel you have in the car. Again, compulsory pit stops. You can only carry 7 gallons of fuel, which is not enough for the race unless you do some serious fuel saving. So this is another race, as most races this season will be. This is another race where you're going to have to stop for fuel as David has a look up the inside of this hairpin corner, which I mentioned at the beginning. Oh, and I've had a spin. I mentioned at the beginning of the race that was a good overtaking location. We are currently over here on this map. We're at that hairpin that I was telling you guys about before the race. And David makes a very nice move to the inside. Sort of go on board with him here. And I gave him lots of room. And I was kind of hoping to make the switch back, but he had a really good grip through that corner, actually, and just takes that position. And then let's take this back so you can see the spin here. Yep, just on the gas, a little too heavy. I got on the gas at the right time, just did too much of it. So I stepped on the gas at the appropriate moment. It just, I gave it a little bit too much throttle. And unfortunately, David was already by, but that's just created a really large gap between the two of us. And I'm actually going to go ahead and leave it from this chase view for a little while here. Just so you guys can get a sort of onboard. I'm not going to do the cockpit cam, because that's what the cockpit cam video is for, as I'm sure all of you are familiar with now. As I've run a little bit wide through that corner, and that's going to compromise me for the next one, but I'm able to pick back up the line after that. And again, you're going to notice some of you guys might be watching this thinking, wow, I am way faster at this track. And you probably are, because I really do not know this track very well. And I'm just trying to keep it on the track. I'm trying to drive nice and steady and just see if I can stay... What was that? Oh, as David is into the pits, what has happened here? There is just all sorts of action happening in the opening laps here. Only on lap 3 still. Is he getting the grass? No. Oh, that's carrying a lot of speed. Oh, and just, yeah, just heavy on the curb. As I was talking about before, you saw me do it just a lap ago. If you get heavy on the curb like that, it is very difficult to recover, and you lose a lot of time, and unfortunately it sent him into the barrier. As we see me go flying by, it sent him into the barrier, and he's got some pretty significant damage as we see him stopping in. Oh yeah, I like the jumpsuits on the pit guys there, David. Looking sharp. So that is going to gift me P4 after David got by me, and this is exactly what I was talking about with you guys. I'm just trying to stay on the track. I don't want any incidents. I don't want to crash. I'm very much taking it easy in this race. You know, I'm still trying to go, ooh, this is very wide there, almost off the track, and nicely through there, though, getting and accelerating all the while through here. This is a very fun sequence of corners here. This is by far my favorite part of this track. This left, then this right, then this left, and then this other right. This left's pretty fun too, actually, especially because of the downhill. After, oh, as I've completely missed my apex, that sent me right off the track. I still got 2 wheels on the track, though. I managed to hang on to it, and that was definitely a 1x off-track incident, but no damage, no spin, no major time lost, maybe just a second or two, so nothing too major. But yeah, I think I just turned in a little late for that corner. I was carrying it about the appropriate amount of speed, braking at about the number 3 marker for this. I actually broke a little early for that. And here you can see my wide entrance. Oh, I took too much inside curb, which caused a hesitation getting onto gas. You can see in the distance there, Stefan already going around this hairpin that I'm approaching right now. So already a good 10-second difference between myself and Stefan, who is currently in the final podium position. Yeah, let's go back to we have gotten a sufficient amount of chase cam, I think. So we'll go back to an exterior shot. So you can see these wonderful shots of the rolling Virginia hills, a state I have personally not been to before. And actually, I'm going to take this opportunity to fast forward. I told you guys earlier, I'm going to try and shorten these down a little bit if I can, just to make it easier for you guys. I know your time is very valuable, and I appreciate you guys taking your own time to watch these videos. But I want to try and make it as entertaining for you as possible and as truncated as possible for you. Again, you can see the whole unedited race by clicking the link for the cockpit view at the end of this race. So if you want to see, you know, lap by lap, oh, as I've had a little bit of an off track there. And actually, let's go to a chase cam for this. You can see I just overcooked it into this corner. I knew I overcooked it, so rather than turn and clunk over the curbs, I decided to just go straight over the grass, which I know is a clear shot to the track to get back on the track. Had to lift off the gas a little bit to give some time back, and then right back on. So lost even more time now to the cars up ahead. But it is a big gap behind. Again, I just want to reiterate that difference You know, the cars ahead of me are a solid second or two a lap faster, but the cars behind me are also a solid second or two a lap slower or thereabouts, at least with all the mistakes they're making and that sort of thing. So maybe with a perfect lap, it wouldn't be like that. But a lot of people are struggling at this track. You've seen David. David is a very skilled racer. He really knows what he's doing. He's about my age. He's in his late 20s, I believe, and he really knows what he's doing. And he's already had several incidents, and that was all before even starting lap 5. So let me just take a moment. I'm gonna keep fast forwarding this. I'm gonna talk a little bit about my strategy. It's about 11 gallons of fuel that you need for these races. So I decided to start with 6 gallons of fuel. It's 11 or 12. So I decided to start with 6 instead of the normal 7, which will make me a little bit quicker than anybody who started with 7 gallons in the opening stages, or the opening stint of the race, really, the entire first stint. So I will be pitting a little bit earlier than anyone who started with 7 laps of fuel, but at the same time I will be a little bit quicker. So my second stint's going to be a little bit slower, tires will be worn a little bit, the car is going to be heavier with fuel. So the first stint really is my best chance of making up positions and all that. And as you can see, there's really no chance of me moving up the field without any sort of incident up ahead. I do not have the raw pace to catch Stefan or Loro or Spencer. All three of them very quick, very consistent drivers at this track. I do believe this is somewhat of a home track for Spencer. He is actually the driver that chose this track. Some of these tracks were hand-picked by certain drivers, and I do believe this is Spencer's choice of track. So I think he's been here before. I think it's a track he knows pretty well, which would explain why he is currently beating championship leader Loro Costa on this track, which is very impressive. Not many people can claim to have been ahead of Loro at any point yet this season. Oh, right, I missed the second race, the oval race at Daytona, but at least I think it was at Daytona, but Loro won that too. So he is entering this race coming off the back of back-to-back victories. So he is looking very strong, definitely the championship favorite for this season. But again, currently Spencer running in P1 ahead of Loro. Let's even go ahead and take a peek and see where they're at right now. So, okay, so yeah, they're not separated by very much at all. As we get a really nice shot of Spencer's extremely exotic livery, is the best way I can describe that. It looks like it has bubbles on it or snake scales. I can't quite tell. He's doing a little bit of blinking, so having some connection issues is Spencer. Back on board with myself. Still fast forwarding. Again, you know, I want to try and keep you guys as interested as possible. Skip through as much of the boring parts as we can. And currently, last lap was a 2:26, which is about what my qualifying lap was, actually. That's an interesting part of iRacing, actually. You will see faster race lap times than you will see quali lap times. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that there is no DRS. There's no free use of DRS or anything like that. And also, the cars get down to the same amount of fuel as quali amounts. You know, you go into quali with 2 gallons. Oh, no. And we have had an incident. You go into quali with 2 laps of fuel, and obviously I'm in the race right now with 6 laps of fuel, but as you burn that fuel off, you know, you get down to 1 gallon, you're going to be even faster than you were in quali. So let's go ahead and switch to a chase view. This is a very difficult corner, as I was telling you guys about before. You're trying to carry as much speed through it, and you're trying to care as possible, and you're trying to get on the gas as early as you can, because after this corner, all these corners are flat out. This is basically like a nice long straight here. So you're trying to get on the gas as quickly as you can, and right there, that's what killed me. And some of you veteran racers will have noticed that right away. You could see the car gets unsettled from this curb, took way too much curb with too much steering angle. It unsettled the car, and it just sent me flying into the barrier. And right now my car is looking a lot like David's was after his incident. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this to a rear chase so you can see any oncoming cars. But this is currently in P4, and that's kind of at the beginning of the lap. So I've got quite a bit to drive. Now you can teleport. You can just hold the escape button. You can teleport to the pits, but it'll take a solid 3 minutes or more for your car to get towed to the pits. So the better option when you have the opportunity, the better option is to just drive back to the pits, because that's going to take generally a lot less time. So let's go ahead and I just want to show you the damage that I've taken on the car has unfortunately made the car very unstable under braking. As you can see, it pulls to the right as soon as I step on the brakes. What you're going to see is that my right wheels get into the grass, and then once those are in the grass, it's pretty much game over. Can't pull it back over, and just go right off. As something interesting to note, if you look here in the distance, you'll see Esty. This is Esty, who is also in the middle of an off-track incident at the almost exact same time as myself. So he just gets a tire into the grass over there, and you can see my just as he's starting to lose the car, I am also starting to lose the car. So we end up both having these off-track incidents at almost the exact same time, at a very similar part of the track, but very different turns in the track. So these turns are near each other, but they're pretty far away time-wise. So that was pure coincidence. Very interesting moment between Esty and myself, as we have a little bit of a brain meld, and both of us go right off the track. At least I could say mine was because of damage to the car, though. Esty's was just from dipping a wheel in the grass. I don't believe he took any damage, though. He recovered from that just fine. So he gets to continue on. Obviously, I am losing time this entire lap as I'm continuing on, so I lost lots of time because of the incident, and I'm losing even more time because of the way that I have to drive. You can actually see the front right wheel is sort of tilted to the right, and that's what's causing the car to pull to the right. As I'm going very cautious through there, I was actually surprised. I was, I'm still going 80 miles an hour through that corner in a damaged vehicle. I mean, going 80 miles an hour through that corner in a road car or a family car would be terrifying. And you could do it pretty comfortably in a damaged Radical SR8. So into the pits, I was planning to pit around a lap 11 or 12 or thereabouts. I did enter the pits still in P4, but that was John going by for P5. Now, John still has yet to pit, though, so I haven't lost out just yet. This is not the worst thing that could have happened. I was going to be pitting around this time anyway, but instead of taking on the 5 or 6 laps, the 5 or 6 gallons of fuel that I was planning on, I will instead be taking on 6 or 7 gallons of fuel in order to ensure that I can make it till the end of the race. This is an 18-lap race, pitting at the end of lap 9, so I need to go another 9 laps. No, I probably, no, not 7 gallons, probably 5 or 6 gallons of fuel, something like that. But I got to put in a little bit more than I would have. As we see, Jack just goes right off the track, and that gives me a perfect opportunity to just swoop up his inside and take that position back. Jack was riding behind me for quite some time. Just to take this back a second for you here, guys. He did pit right behind me, but of course he didn't have damage, so his pit stop was faster than mine. He came out of the pits just ahead of me. You can see I am now moving out of the pits as he's coming out of pit lane. And unfortunately, he just kind of overcooked it. Yeah, he braked very late for turn 1, went a little bit deep, got his wheels in the grass, and then just got kind of sucked out, which gave me the opportunity to swoop by and take that position back. So I did lose a position to Jack here as a result of the damage in the pit stop, but thankfully I am able to grab that back. As we see, Esty up ahead has a little spin. He is a lap down at this point because of various incidents that he's had, so that's not for position. He's a lap down. But yeah, Jack here, I do believe I have the pace on him this race. Not so much in Summit Point. It would seem very evenly matched there, but it seems like I have the pace on him here at VIR, so I can tell you I was very optimistic after getting by him that I could extend this lead and give myself a nice gap, just in case if I do make another mistake, which is very possible. Again, because of the unknown nature of this track, the fact that I had so little practice and had never raced it prior to this day made things very difficult. And so we're going to go back on board with myself And remember, John is currently ahead of me, so I'm in 5th at the moment, but John has yet to pit. So where John comes out, and as you can see, I braked very cautiously for that corner. Didn't carry very much speed at all. As I almost lose the back end, and I'm going over the grass. This is not the way to go through those corners whatsoever. John is up ahead, and depending on what happens with his pit stop and where he comes out after his pit stop is going to have a big factor. That's going to be a really important part of this race for me specifically. We are currently on lap 10 as we're getting a really strange angle. That is a very strange angle. I apologize for that. Oh, well, TV1 is no better. Okay, I'm just going to keep it in TV3. Sorry about those very strange camera angles. I might need to look into that. I'm not sure what that was all about. But again, looking to extend my gap to Jack behind, and I'm trying to catch John. Because technically I believe John would have the upper hand. So I need to be pushing on these laps while he is still out on his first stint. Just try and make that time back and see if I can grab P4 back. It's not looking like I'm in good shape for a podium. It's looking like P4 is the best that I'll be able to do, but again, with little practice and little knowledge of this track, little experience, P4 would be a great success. Again, was not going into this race with very high hopes. And actually, I am currently in P6, not P5. I apologize about that. And that is because James Myers up ahead is also yet to pit. I had quite a gap to him, though, when I pit, so I should definitely be ahead of him when it comes time for him to pit. So right now, I'm a net 5th or 4th, depending on what's going on with John. Hey, you can already see this gap to Jack is already extending pretty significantly. It hasn't even been all that much time, and I'm a few seconds up the road already. So if I could just maintain the pace that I'm at currently and not spin or crash, then I should have no real threats from behind. Oh, and there's that off-camber corner I was telling you guys about earlier. That is, oops. Very difficult corner. So you can see, you want to brake at about the dip. And no, yeah, I think the car went light at the top of that hill. And that's kind of what caused the issue. Yeah, you can see the car sort of lift up. Let me play it in slow motion here for you. So it dips down, and then it's going up the hill. And then the car's sort of lifting up off the ground. Yeah, you can see more of the rear tires as it was lifting there. Let me just take it back again, and you can see more of the rear tires becomes visible, and that's the body of the car lifting up, which gives less traction. So pretty much all 4 wheels start. I'm getting understeer and oversteer all at the same time, and then the car finally grips. But unfortunately, it just sends me right back off the track. But thankfully, I'm able to rejoin right here. That is a track cut, though. Right there, I did just cut the track, which is exactly what I need to not be doing, because now I need to give all this time back. So you're going to see me kind of let off the gas. Yeah, not quite, and go. Okay, so I have lost a little bit of time to Jack behind, but he hasn't managed to get the position back. So I lost exactly the amount of time that was our gap, pretty much. So he is right up behind me once again, but I've held on to this position for the meantime. And that's John in the pits right there. So it is lap 12. No, end of lap 11, John finally pits, and he is going to come out behind me, which means I have retaken 4th place in this race, which, again, very, very happy about. And we're going to stay on board, focused on myself for a little while here. Oh, as I'm noticing now at the top of the ticker that Lauro has passed Spencer for the lead of the race. I'm not sure if that has something to do with pit strategies. Oh, as I'm going very wide, very aggressive over these S-corners as we wind up and carry that momentum through onto the straight and into these very high-speed corners, the S's, the high-speed S's. But Lauro currently in P1. Actually, I'm going to jump up the road. And so here's Lauro going into that sort of double apex that I was telling you guys about. Very strange. And this is Spencer just coming out of turn 1. So I do believe that is actual pace. Possibly Spencer made a mistake. In fact, that's probably what it was, is what I'm thinking. But I think both of them have already made their pit stop. And Lauro is in a net first place position currently, with Spencer a good bit back, as Spencer's just now coming onto the straight that Lauro just left. So pretty big gap between them. You can really see how bumpy this track is. The suspension really getting a workout. This is probably a pretty old track, I'm willing to wager. Very bumpy in lots of parts, especially in that place where you saw me have the off, where I had the contact with the barrier. It's very bumpy through that section of corners. Right here, the apex of that corner, nope, it's this one. The apex of that corner right there, you can actually see how bumpy it was. I don't even think I touched the curb there. That's just all bumps in the actual road itself. All bumpy through here. This is all bumpy, very bumpy, all bumpy through here. And this is where it starts to roll out a little bit better. It's not quite flat, but the bumps become, I guess you could say, bigger, so it becomes more of like a rolling sensation rather than a bumping sensation. Oh, as I almost have a little moment in between those two corners. Again, that's a very difficult one. It's sort of like turn 10 at Bahrain for you F1 fans. You have to kind of brake as you're turning the wheel. So you have the one corner immediately followed by another corner, and the first one is not nearly as tight of a corner as the second one. So you're able to carry a little bit more speed through the first one, and then you got to slow down and tighten up the angle in order to get through the next one. You can see I'm being very cautious through that off-camber corner now, and that's just because of the off-track that I had, which was almost a spin. I was lucky not to spin it, and it's a pretty big gap now to Jack again. I've pulled that back out as expected, so I'm going to go ahead and do some fast-forwarding now, as we're approaching 40 minutes on this video. So this is lap 14. This is an 18-lap race, don't forget. I think that's a back marker, but I'm wondering exactly what happened here. Huh. Nope. Okay, nope. I'm just tripping balls. You'll have to excuse me. I'm not sure what I was thinking exactly happened there. All right, so still in fourth position. Pretty big gap up ahead to third. I mean, at this point in the race, I think it was probably 40, 50 seconds, something like that, with all the mistakes I've made. Big congratulations to Stefan, who drove a fantastic race. I wasn't too far off of his pace in the opening laps, but he really seemed to pick up pace as the race went on, which is really how it should go with iRacing. You should get faster and faster each lap, really. Aside from maybe your first lap after pitting for more fuel. But really great job from him to be consistent enough to get that podium position. It was a very difficult race for just about everybody. So to get a podium at this race, I think really says a lot about a driver, because this is not an easy track to even drive around, never mind to finish in the top three. Okay, here we are, lap 16. So this is the third to last lap, 2 laps left after this one. Coming through turn 1. Big gap ahead and behind. I think something even happened with Jack, because he dropped back even further. Coming through this very bumpy section, trying to carry as much speed as I can and trying to get on the gas as early as possible. And nicely through there, no issues on this occasion. Going this is 6th gear all the way through these corners. Again, very high speed, flat out, probably 150 plus miles an hour through those corners, which is really fun, to be honest. And part of the reason that I went for the 26-degree wing angle, which was recommended by Loro, because it was just much stronger here. Just to fill in a little bit of time, I do believe that Jem had a connection issue, and he was forced to retire pretty early in the race. You could see from the ticker. Actually, I think Jem disconnected during qualifying even and wasn't able to make it back in time for the race, something along those lines. You can see David in 10th place position. I do believe he retired after significant damages to his car. Esty, I believe, has retired as well from the race. He was not having a great race either. He was a lap down. Oh, no. And that's a pretty straightforward spin there. This is another one that you could probably blame on weight transfer, because you can see just too much change of direction. I was a little bit too violent with it. And then I was going to do the 180 spin to get back on track, but I was worried I would end up doing a full 360. So you actually saw me utilize the reverse gear there. You know your race isn't going well when you're using reverse. And I had to use reverse to get back onto the track, as take way too much curb through there. And I can tell you, I was exhausted at this point in the race. This is now lap 16. It's about 2.5 minutes per lap. That's 5 times. Excuse me. We're 40 minutes into this race currently. You can see again a little bit too much curb, and couldn't quite get on the gas the way I wanted to. Pretty nicely through there. Probably could have carried a little bit more speed, using as much track as possible for the run down to the line as we finish lap 16 and start lap 17 of 18. This is the penultimate lap of the race. Interesting thing to note, I have not been lapped yet. Very few cars in this race have not been lapped yet at this point, and I am actually one of them. I think Jack is also one of them. At this point, I think John has already been lapped. No, as we actually just saw Jack being lapped. So I am the last of the cars who has yet to be lapped currently. But I'm a good distance ahead of Loro, so it doesn't look like I'm going to get lapped in this race currently, based on my pace and his pace. And again, through the very bumpy section, and oh no! An almost carbon copy of the incident that happened earlier in the race, and unfortunately, the damage this time is too much for my car to continue. You're going to see me try to go once more time, and it just pulls right off the road. And there goes Jack, and there goes John, and I am going to have to get a tow back to the pits. And that is unfortunately end of race for me. After the tow, the race was already over by the time I actually got back to the car. You're going to see my car is in the pits right now, but on my screen, I see a little timer that says how much time is left for my car to be towed, and I can tell you it says about 3 or 4 minutes. And they're on the penultimate lap of the race, so there is less of this race left than time it is going to take for me to be towed to the pits to get, and then after that I would have to get repairs, which take a bunch of time. So really unfortunate. Second to last lap of the race, which means I end up finishing the race 2 laps down. I was only able to complete 16 laps of the race. Really unfortunate. I lost out on 1, 2, 3 positions as a result of that spin. I was pretty far back. This would have said about -2 minutes, maybe even -2 minutes and 10 seconds, something along those lines. So again, a big gap between the field at the end of this race, and I think a lot of that has to do with the difficult nature of this track, how hard it is just to keep it on the road. So in the end, though, Lauro comes home and gets another victory, 3rd straight victory for Big Bad Rad Racing. Spencer Meadows comes home in 2nd place, only 10 seconds behind. Which really is nothing when you when you compare it to the domination of Lauro in Summit Point. So much closer racing this time. Spencer was right there. He was in the lead for much of this race. I don't think, I think he said on the forums, wow, as Jack and John finished right next to each other. That was crazy. Hold on 1 second. One of the best parts about PRL here is the close finishes, and this is 4th position between the purple one and the orange one up ahead. Sorry, we're on board with Spencer, which is not 4th position. Oops, I apologize. So yeah, in the end, John and Jack finish. Gosh, that's 3/10 apart, something like that. And it really, if it wasn't for Spencer being there, John may have been able to get a slipstream on Jack and take that 4th place position at the very closing stages of the race. No, it looks like he didn't quite carry enough speed through there. Yeah, he moved. Yeah. Maybe if Spencer had moved to the left of John instead of taking the right, then John may have been able to at least go side by side across the line with Jack. So really good racing from everybody. It was a lot of fun right up until the point that I totaled my car. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't have the points set up and everything like for after the race, but I will have that for the next race. Next race is at Long Beach, which is a tech track in iRacing, which means it's not quite finished yet, but you can race on it. I've never driven there before in any video game or anything like that. I don't even think I've seen it. So it's going to be another blind track for me, but hopefully I'll be able to squeeze in a little bit of extra practice because AOR has come to a close. Season 7 is over, which means I can now focus all of my practice and energy on PRL here. So really hoping to be more competitive in the upcoming races, but I'm fully expecting the end of the season is really where it gets exciting. You guys, I really want you to stick with this series because the last few races of the season are going to be a lot of fun. Circuit of the Americas, Spa, Suzuka, I believe, possibly Interlagos. I know Interlagos, I know Spa, I can't remember if Suzuka. I don't think Suzuka is one of them. But it's gonna be heating up. Hopefully, we'll see a little bit more variety as far as race winners comes along. And that sort of thing. And but yeah, make sure you stay tuned. As always, there will be a link at the end of this video for the unedited race in cockpit view. And I really hope you join us next time at Long Beach. Thank you so much for watching.